Hi there, Dr. Rajiv Iyer here from IMG Secrets, bringing you the experience of guiding hundreds of international medical graduates like you. In this video, I'm going to tell you how can you be a specialist doctor in Australia and all this without having to do AMC exams. Let's do this together. With all the questions we have been receiving about the Australian pathway, so we will talk about who is eligible, what specialties can apply in this pathway, what should be the duration of your training, one of the most important determinants, how to prepare yourself to apply so you don't fail or you don't end up spending a lot of money. What is the process? How much fees do you expect to spend on this? And finally, the results that you can obtain to become a fellow of Royal College. Let's begin with who is eligible for this pathway. To practice as a specialist doctor in Australia as an overseas trained physician, you have to undergo a series of things in order to establish yourself that your training is comparable to anyone who is trained in Australia. The basic requirement is you must have completed your medical school or medical college from a World Health Organization recognized place. The second thing is you must have completed your PG training from your home country, and you should be a licensed physician or a licensed specialist in your home country. Which specialties are eligible for this? If you belong to internal medicine or one of its subspecialties, or if you're a pediatrician or one of its subspecialties, then you go through Royal Australasian College of Physicians or RACP. On the other hand, if you're not one of this, but rather you're, let's say, an anesthesiologist, radiologist, surgeon, OBGYN, psychiatry, or whatever it is, then you go through their respective colleges. From an IMG standpoint, does it make a difference? Probably not. The same thing applies for general physicians as well. Now, you will be moving through three different organizations. So one is the Australian Medical Council. The second one is the Medical Board of Australia. And the third one is Royal College. Now, if you compare this, let's say with Canada, you would still be liaising with three different organizations, which is the Medical Council of Canada, depending on what path you're taking, provinces, which are responsible for issuing the license, and the Royal College. Same concept in the US. You would be liaising with ECFMG, the American Board of Medical Specialties that eventually certifies physicians, and the state medical board, which are responsible for issuing licenses. The overarching concepts are the same, but there are a lot of differences you must pay close attention to. Now, what should be your duration of training? Australia requires you need at least 4 years of postgraduate training in medicine, pediatrics, and probably even more 4 years of training in other specialties depending on what specialty it is. Now, here's the catch. Most postgraduate trainings in internal medicine or pediatrics in many countries happen to be for 3 years. Now, how are you going to get that 4th year, which is the catch? Well, you can actually transition yourself to a fellow, or you can do senior residency, which can then again be considered your 4th year of training. If you have less than 4 years of training, then the expectation is you must have at least 3 years of consultant experience. Having consultant experience in your home country is going to be very valuable, because as you're going to prepare the application, there is an entire section where they ask you to describe your consultant experience. Even if you have a small amount of experience, you can highlight those. But rather, if you have none, the whole section is going to be empty. It doesn't look strong on your application. So make sure you plan all this accordingly even before you're applying to this pathway. Now, here is what our IMG Secrets Australian specialist talks about the AMC exam in this case. Now, he says if specifically you are going through the specialist training pathway, AMC may not be needed. If you do end up clearing the AMC exams, this can help going through the standard pathway in case the specialist path does not work for you or doesn't get approved for you and you're required to start as a basic trainee. Alright, how are you going to prepare your application? The first step is to have your credentials verified. Now, Australian Medical Council have collaborated with ECFMG, yes, the same organization that's used in the US to verify the credentials. Then you have to have a proof of source verification from Australian Medical Council. You cannot directly apply to Australian Medical Council with your documents, but the verified documents would be sent by CFMG to the Australian Medical Council. Why are they doing this for you? You'll be paying them fees. The documents they're looking for are three: medical degree, transcript, and graduation documents. You do need a copy of your passport. There is an EPIC verification form that is required. Now, there are two important things you must pay attention to. So one is, Australia refers to as continuous professional development, which is, in other words, an activity like a CME. So essentially, you're looking at your research work, your abstracts, your publications, your education work, you attending conferences, you attending workshops, you improvising yourself, your work related to quality improvement science, your work related to patient safety. Now, all this is really important in your application, and you may want to highlight whatever you have, so that way you come out as a shining candidate when they assess your application. The other important document they expect you to provide is a logbook of all the cases and the patients you have seen. So this is an important part of your application. Of course, you do need the English language proficiency test. Now, Australia accepts 6 types of English proficiency tests, and this is Occupational English Test, IELTS, TOEFL, PTE. In addition, they can also accept the New Zealand exam NZREX or the UK exam PLAB. Your documents must be notarized. For most IMGs, this is easily done by a Notary Public, or there might be assigned people in Australian embassy in your home countries, which I understand many times might be hard to reach, but that's certainly an option. Now, if you're from South Africa, Sudan, or Canada and applying through this pathway, then there is an option of using Commissioner of Oaths. Now, if you belong to this country, you would understand what I'm talking about. There are 2 major ways of going about this. First is, you could either directly apply to the specialist assessment pathway, or you could first find a position in the area of need, which is basically considered as an underserved area. Now, remember, these hospitals may not always be located in rural, remote areas. Of course, most of the positions are, but for some lucky IMGs, these have been in big cities as well. If you already have a position through the area of need, you might want to include that information in your application package as well. Okay, so now you're ready to submit your application. Hopefully by now you know how exactly to prepare your application. But if this seems extremely confusing, I encourage you to go to our website, imgsecrets.com, and book an appointment either with me or with our Australian expert who can specifically guide you with all these nuances and steps that you need to take in order to increase the chance of success with your application. Fantastic. You start filling the application. The application has a maximum page limit of 25 pages. If they say this, stick to this. Try not to exceed this. There are a lot of different activities you need to include in the application. So I would say try to maximize all of them and try not to leave any of them. Remember, this is extremely competitive. There are a lot of folks applying for this, and you want to stay on top of all this. I would say even if the application says this is optional, I would strongly encourage even to fill that out and not think of it as being optional. Now, the application is going to be assessed based on 10 domains, and the RACP website has a fantastic picture that describes all these 10 different things on their website that you're seeing right in front of you. All right, you submit your application. The typical timeline takes somewhere between 1 year all the way up to 4 years. Any errors, any delays in processing, any non-response from your side is going to significantly prolong the time duration they would need to assess your application. Remember, any time prolongation could mean potentially extra fees on your end. All right, now let's talk about what happens after you have submitted your application. The application goes through 3 different phases of assessment. The first phase is an initial scrutiny of your application that is done heavily, and this is also followed by an interview. This interview could be in person or could be on a video call. If it's in person, you're responsible for making sure you take off your travel costs, your stay costs, and all other things. If something is missing and they're not clear about something, then they actually request for more information. And if you're not careful about how you submit your application, the chances of coming back for clarification significantly can go up. So be very careful when you do this. All right, now they assess your application and they give you the results. The results can be 3 different types. Now they can say you're substantially comparable. The second thing, they can say you're partially comparable. And the last thing, you're not at all comparable. If substantially comparable, then the expectation is you do somewhere up to 12 months of ongoing assessment. Now, if you're partially comparable, that can increase up to 2 years. Of course, there are many exceptions here. And if you're not comparable, then probably a different pathway might be a good option for you, in which case you may have to go back, do your AMC exams, and then go back to basic training. All right, now you've completed your initial assessment, you have results, and now you've started practicing. And this practice is under supervision and is referred to as the second phase of assessment or ongoing assessment. Here, you would be working in such a way that you would be supervised by a physician who is already fully licensed in Australia. Now, you would be under scrutiny, and this can take two different paths. So one is there could be assessors who actually come into your hospital to review all the work you've done, or the expectation would be that you would submit all the work that you're doing in a timely fashion. If you think of a process in the USA, it's something similar to the alternate entry path program. In Canada, we can refer this to as the province-based specialist pathway, again with a lot of differences between the systems. Now in the USA and Canada, the hospital or the university who has hired you would be heavily invested in making sure that you actually succeed as a candidate. In Australia, if the assessors decide to come and talk to you and review all your records, you basically have to pay for their airfare and all the travel, and this cost can be approximately 3,000 Australian dollars. All right, let's move on to the fees. The initial application fee that you're going to submit is approximately a little over $1,000 at the time of this recording. If your results end up to be substantially comparable, then the remainder of the process, you can expect to spend about 11,000 Australian dollars. On the other hand, if you're partially comparable, then you can expect to spend about 15,500 Australian dollars. Sure, that sounds like a lot of money, but you're hoping that with this investment, you're going to be a specialist, and then you would start earning in Australian dollars to offset all of this which you've spent. Making sense? The final step of assessment is what everyone is waiting, and basically you have completed all your requirements. The college will give you a report saying you have met all the standards compared to an Australian training standards, and they would give you an eligibility for you to become a fellow. Once you become a fellow, it means you're now a consultant. You can now register as a specialist, continue your practice as a fully licensed doctor in Australia. All right, I know that was a lot of information. If you're still not sure how to proceed with this, you can go to our website, imgsecrets.com, and speak to our Australian expert in this process and can really guide you as to how you can move through in order to increase the chances of your application. Now, next, I recommend you watch this video where I have compared different countries as to what's the best in terms of doing PG in your career, and this is all based on my opinion. You have any questions? Make sure you post in the comments below. We do try to get back to you as soon as possible. Take care, stay safe. I will talk to you soon.